friend. It wasn't me.
My friend. Let's get this mother fluffer on the road, baby. He'll pick up sticky fingers. I've already seen him in the chat.
I started this journey.
We are live. We are live.
Turn fake taxi off there,
Ray. Why?
Actually, it's a good point. Well put.
That's
why you're the technical director, Rolly. Let's have a look. Skip that. And yeah, by the power vested in me, I can see we are there. So let's have a look and hope that I don't get kicked off my own goddamn show this week. So close that down. Yeah, Rolly, I've got to give you an enormous amount of credit as the technical director of the Fix, showing up when it's literally about 2 a.m. over in Dubai. Looking, I've got to say, Rolly, extremely lean. Boom. There it is. Look at that.
Very nice. Very nice, Ray.
You're almost back to forest form, if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
Original.
It's not even my final form.
Not even final form.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
How about Ermes Gasparini's form?
How about that form?
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Mate,
incredible.
We're gonna go into deep inside on them tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fix. If you're just joining us, show 142. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, 142. In Dart's call voice. Joining me tonight on the call for the ladies, it's Mr. Paul Linn with his tank top on. Boom. Have some of that. We've got the mighty Uncle John Thompson, as everybody knows, the most evil bastard in the entire sport of arm wrestling, as told by Pradeep, who can't even sing. And last but by no means least, although probably is on the scales, it's Rolly O'Reilly from Dubai, coming live, keeping it real. We will also have a couple of guests tonight. We got Devin Larratt joining us tonight, I'm told. Although, do we trust him? Don't know. But he said he's going to come in. Also,
is RBJ coming in as well?
So, who's coming in, mate, as well?
RBJ?
Oh, no. Hey, you never know. He wasn't coming in last time.
Yeah.
But he did do. I suddenly got a link. He's like, Neil, send me the link. There's too much going on. Yeah, what a show that was.
That was amazing.
My own show, and somebody else got control of it. Unbelievable. Juji Mugu with a super chat. I cannot believe it's been 3 weeks already since King of the Table 6. Hello, motherfluffers. That's right, mate. Nobody loves a laugh. Joe Mama is back in the super chats, and he's put Ray, congrats on looking like Paul's before picture. Hey? Joe Mama, nice work. I like your little.
Hey, did you hear how John roasted me? I think I said
no.
It's like
No.
John Berzang. So I'm getting ready for the pre-show and everything, and John's sitting and he sees me and he turns to me and he's like, "Where did you get the time machine to get that shirt?"
Mate.
And I turned to him and I said, "From Neil Pickup."
Let me tell you, it was a strong shirt, Ray. It was just obviously shirt. it's not the shirt.
It's not the original,
but it was a good effort. It was a good effort. I will give you credit where credit's due. It was a strong shirt. And one thing I did notice, Ray, a lot less stress on those buttons, mate. I'm not going to lie. A lot less stress on the buttons.
That is true. Those shirts are still XL, so I need new ones.
No, that was all right. That other one, when you were popping out that bitch. You know what I mean? When you had a bit of
ready to burst.
Yeah, you had a little bit of strain on the
tits out live on live TV.
Yeah. I also noticed, Ray, that the number of times that you came in there, if you're not enjoying this match, you're a bell end. You can't.
Hey.
Yeah.
And Jake's like, there's a guy on the Reddit. He's like, why is the commentator saying we are bellends? You know?
Yeah. Why is everybody saying that we are? Oh, mate, I've not sent the link to Derek as well. Big Desert was coming in. I will send Derek, if you're waiting and you're watching, I will send you the link, son. But yeah, we got Devon dropping in. We got Jerry popping in. John's with us for about 3/4 of an hour to an hour. We'll try and talk him into longer. I'll kidnap his cat or something like that. Having a bit of a nightmare is John at the moment. John, tell him about your little bit of backstory that's going on with the Iron House 3, son, or are you not allowed to tell him?
About my troubles,
Yeah.
so Iron House 3 is looking very unlikely for me at this exact moment. Is nicely, I've recently become a Canadian citizen after a 10-year process, right?
Yeah.
Takes all sorts of moving parts and money spent and all this crap. So when it actually happens, it's like you kind of have to do what they tell you because you've already spent so much money and time. So my time has come to get my citizenship. You have to, basically what happens is you become a citizen, but there's a period of time where you don't have travel documents, right? So right now, if I fly out of Canada, I will not have proper documentation to get back into Canada until I get my passport, which will likely be sometime in the middle of April, right? So Iron House 3 is not looking good for me, which upsets me deeply in my soul.
Yeah, unless you've got my time machine, and then you can, of course, make it to the show with a full week to spare. You've time to
search
go
for the
shopping.
passport.
Boom. So we roll. So, ladies and gentlemen, what a night, baby. All you can say is that was a very, very interesting evening, wasn't it? Just, I mean, are we going to go? We got to start at the beginning. So we'll start at the beginning. A bit of a precursor for what's to come because it all happened in the last match. But I suppose you could say there was some stories in all of the matches. And we started with Devon, Pavlo, who's been doing amazingly in the USA. He's had personal experience with our very own White Hawk. And you'd have to say that Pavlo has looked unbelievably impressive. And he's clearly a very, very powerful man. There's no doubt about that. And he's on the rise. He was facing a guy that I think many people had very high aspirations and hopes for in Sabin Badalescu. The man from Romania, formerly someone who'd been talked about as a opponent for Levan down the tracks. And we got our first sneaky peek of where he was coming back into the sport. So pretty interesting matchup. NWUK 1 just coming in with Ermes. Hang on a minute. Nearly lost that goddamn super chat. We'll try and get it. Ermes should now be Italian Stallion, as that was the most Rocky-esque match I've ever seen. Good luck finding something to talk about. Yeah, mate, plenty to go on. I'm going to start with Rolly Ray, because you were the man in the room, mate. Just a bit of pre-match, Rolly. Sabin Badalescu seemed like he turned a corner. Seemed like he was a different bloke. Some of that venom, aggression that he's been known for seems to have dissipated a bit.
Yeah, I think he was trying to control his emotions a little better. He was feeling uncomfortable in the first 2 rounds. He was sweating, and I saw him before because we wanted to get him on pre-show, but he's like, I have to deal with some stuff, and he's calling somewhere. So I think there was a lot of pressure, a lot of nerves. And Paulo, on the other hand, was so calm, super calm, just composed and everything. That was just the thing was the power and like Paulo's hand blown up really fast. He said like round 1, he's like, that was already too much. He's like, that was already too much. And the weird thing was because no one went for a strap for first 4 rounds, which is weird, right? Especially with the type of pulling both of them are doing, where Pavlo needs to get you know, and Sabin needs that strap so he can use that back pressure. So and like I thought that Sabin's like adrenaline, and we all know this. You gotta, you know, if you start with really high adrenaline, it's gonna come down, and how you deal with it. And he dealt perfectly because he was sweating like crazy at the start, and then he kind of calmed down. He was looking much better. But for sure, Pavlo, like, again, looking at all the matches, I don't think anyone was a loser. And especially in this one, Pavlo showed that even when being a smaller man, he did awesome for first 2 rounds. He just lacked the hand, the endurance to keep going. And then Sabin Badalescu kind of woke up, you know, again, ring rust and all those things come in play. So I think both guys did really good job. Result was as expected.
Yeah.
And I'm happy it didn't end 6-0.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it actually ended. Myself and Devin Larratt were talking the day before, and we actually went slightly at odds on that one. I had Sabin 4-2. I think he had Pavlo winning it, and he said it would be a battle, and so did I. I thought it was going to be a scrap. I actually thought that at one stage I thought, oh, I've screwed up here. Sabin's going to get run over. Now I want to go to Uncle John for a moment, because I've thought, and I'd like to know Paul and Ray's thoughts as well, but first with John, because he's been right in the thick of this. It looked to me like there was a massive adrenaline dump that went on. Sabin, he came out. He was shaking with intensity. Absolutely looked like he'd redlined on it. And do you think that affected him early, John?
Well, clearly something was definitely not going well with him. And the thing that I was talking to people about was the fact that it has been a minute since we've seen Sabin under the big lights, right? Having a big super match. It's hard to just walk in and go to king of the table, right?
Yeah.
People underestimate how difficult it is to just do that. So I had speculated possibly that was affecting him. You know, there is a lot of pressure. He's the bigger man. He should win this match. And it just kind of like, he was not there for rounds 1 and 2 more. I mean, he was, but he wasn't. And then it was almost like round 3. There was a moment where he could have gone right down and he didn't. He went up. This match was so good. I was only disappointed about one thing, and that was 0 kisses delivered. Zero kisses from Sabin. That was the only thing. I was like, great match. Other than that, great match.
Yeah, he didn't get any snogs off.
Yeah.
But, yeah. But I think there was a massive amount of weight on his shoulders. Paul, you've been involved with the big events of late, mate. You've been pulling pretty much in the bright lights every time you get an outing. Just try and break down for people what the thoughts and feelings are preemptively coming into that, especially when you got a lot of hope on your shoulders. Everybody's really waiting for this match to kick off. Everybody had such high hopes for him. He's been talked about, the Levan killer, and he gets suddenly thrown in. First time out, a little bit of a jangler or what?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the big thing too is that's the lead-off match. Like, you don't get to see any other arm wrestling and get your vibe going, get your feel. Sometimes you can generate some momentum or some positive energy just by watching a match prior to you. So I think that in itself was a challenge for both of those guys.
Yeah.
And you take a look at Pavlo, and I know Pavlo's been traveled, and I think he did Slotty and a couple different things. Obviously, Sabin's been he's been of note for quite some time at Worlds and at Slotty, and he's got, he's been around, but he hasn't been on the table. So both of these guys, like for Pavlo, this is the big coming out party, So there has to be pressure and stress there. And then for Sabin, like coming off of however many year hiatus, I mean, it's got to be 3 or 4 years on the big stage. I can imagine the stress level. But knowing Pavlo, he's always cool and calm like that. I think what jumped out to me was the contrast in the first 2 rounds, and then the swing. So when I looked at the setup, I know what it's like to set up with Pavlo. He is really, really, really good at subtly bullying you.
He was really aggressive in the sets, wasn't he?
If you pay attention to the first couple rounds in any of his matches, if you really look at what he's doing, he is bench pressing you off center, and it's subtle enough that the referee, it's good right there. It's so static and so good, and he's giving back pressure. As the rounds waned on, we started seeing him be a little bit more passive in the setup. And I think that wound up having a lot to do with Sabin's ability to flash him. Those flash pins were game changers, because now the question and the doubt is in your mind, and plus the taxing that went on to Pavlo's wrist when he was containing Sabin in round 1 in that full King's move. First off, it was super impressive that he could do it and force it to be there. But you're outside of the straps. This wrist is getting really, really taxed.
Yeah, past the elastic limit of the wrist. I mean, he absolutely redlined on it. Like you say, very impressive physical strength, but at what cost?
I was checking a little bit with Sabin back and forth, and he did say that Pablo's inside. I don't want anything to do with that. So I think if we look at it, Sabin is the more seasoned and better arm wrestler, and through 6 rounds, that kind of came to light. But Pavlo probably the stronger dude. But let's be serious. He has so much muscle on that frame that it's not surprising that 6 rounds would favor Sabin.
Yeah. I also feel like Pavlo is in his infancy. This is a guy that's really, whilst he's been active and he's been making his name and he's been getting out there and diligently knocking people over. Incidentally, ladies and gentlemen, Derek Smith in the motherflipping house. Welcome, Derek. How you doing, brother?
What's going on, guys? What's going on, fellas?
Good to have you on here, mate. We'll be getting your feedback in a minute. I do feel like Pavlo is one of those guys who's still cutting his teeth. He's been out there, he's been knocking people over, but not at this kind of level. He's been one of those guys who's been running over some of the light heavyweight lads, and then he's got some impressive wins with some of the bigger guys, but nobody who's been a nailed-on killer. And this was his first outing on the big stage, first outing internationally. I thought he did really, really well, and we'll get to Derek's opinions on that in a second. Just to knock over a couple of super chats. Silky Wilkie, what a leg end. Massive super chat. Silky Wilkie, always a support of the channel. Thank you very much, mate. Really helps us out. He's put splendid, sublime, and scintillating event. Ermes is forever the gladiator in my heart and the embodiment of the confident warrior, the unrelenting, the undertaker, and he who treads only forward. What did you think, boys? Also, ask Devon about the Badalescu block technique. Yeah, Dev's supposed to be coming on here in a little while, so we'll definitely put that to him if he makes it on the call. Also, Jerry Cadorette should be dialing in at some point as well. Joe Mama with another super chat. Fellas, any idea why don't we see Sasho and Giannis at East versus West? Besides Paul and John, they are my two favorites, but I haven't seen them in forever. I do believe that Sasho got injured, hurt his pec, pulling RVJ, and had some damage off the back of that. Giannis, his training partner, is right here.
Giannis is retired.
Bullshit, Shamo. That's it. That is illegal.
No, that's a rumor. That's a rumor I'm trying to spread. That's the rumor I'm trying to spread. Yeah.
Giannis Hamilton will return, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yes.
Yes,
he shall return.
Soon.
Yeah.
I
He's going up his
Engen
weight. Ray's coming down. He's going up.
Engen told me he reached out to Sasho a couple times.
Go, Derek.
Engen told me that he reached out to Sasho a couple times and he hadn't heard back a few times.
Playing a cards close to his chest, the one that's injured. But let me tell you, mate, when that dude is on fire, oof, not many men can deal with him at that weight class. There's some great matches out there for him. Living Niles Hints with a super chat. Strength is what anyone believes of themselves or others. Psychology plays on us. Believe it. Yeah, I would agree, mate. I mean, it was fascinating to see the back and forth of that over the course of the matches that we saw last night. It was absolutely exceptional. There was some real psychological tales going on. It was really out there for everybody to see. And one of the things I would say, I thought the match with Sabin and Pavlo probably worked out as a big win for both lads, and I'll tell you why. Because Pavlo can't lose right now. He's the guy that's on the rise. He's the guy nobody knew about. High expectations on him from some of the North American lads, and he's the guy that's got an amazing amount of matches. I mean, Derek could be a great match for him. You know, there's a lot of guys who are sort of vying for that spot in the USA. Chance Shaw's one of them. Pavlo's one of them. Derek's one of them. And there are others as well that are on the rise. So many exciting matches. I think by contrast, Sabin had to come out big. He had to come out with a win. And to get a win against Pavlo, it's a notable win, but it's a realistic win. It's a building block. And I think if he'd have come out, I mean, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think if Sabin had fallen short, there would have been a lot of questions asked of him, you know, perhaps cruelly, but I think it would have been a bad place for him, to be honest, probably for him mentally as well, you know. So Derek, let's bring you in. What do you think of that, mate? And what did you think of the Sabin Pavlo match in general?
I mean, before in my predictions, I was saying Sabin has more international credibility in terms that he's done more things around, you know, on a global scale. But I also knew Pavlo in terms of up and coming and what he had to offer. And I predicted Sabin be the favorite, but I went with Pavlo hoping that he'd win because, you know, the hometown hero. I was hoping for him to take the W. I think one of the biggest takeaways from that one is that we now have another North American that deserves to be on that stage. And regardless of how the match went, now I'm excited to see Pavlo hopefully getting more invites to go maybe East versus West or go get some other big matchups like that and see what he can do on that card, which is great, man. I'm so excited when I see more and more North Americans getting a shot and actually, you know, holding up to that pressure and doing well, even if they don't win, just getting in there and having that match.
Yeah.
I love seeing that more than anything. So I think that was my biggest takeaway. But yeah, I mean, he showed he's in it regardless. And there were spots where Sabin definitely didn't want to mess with him, and I mean that speaks volumes in and of itself. I think so.
So, Paul, I want to come to you, mate, in terms of sort of next steps for Pavlo first. Oh, sorry, mate, you're on mute.
You're muted, Paul.
You're on mute, Paul.
You're muted.
Paul,
There.
you're on mute.
Sorry.
There.
I think I was reading your mind. I think I was reading your mind. Finish what you're saying, but I think I'm already ready to answer what you're saying.
No, I was just going to say for Pavlo, who would you think from what's the logical next step for the guy now? Is it in East versus West? Is it in King of the Table? Is it in North America? Where do you see him going?
So I think the way I understand things, probably based off of him not having a successful outcome at King of the Table, my assumption is he will probably pull the qualifiers that are coming up.
Okay.
He'll probably pull the Indiana qualifier. When I spoke to him last, he was planning on dropping weight and coming down somewhere in the range of 220, which could be a scary, scary thing. And he got the match with Sabin, and of course had to force his weight back up to 260.
Yeah.
So I think we're really looking at a guy who is going to be really well suited at 105 or 115, wherever he chooses to be, because he's carrying this weight so well, even at 260. But imagine if imagine like where his prime spot is. I would think 105, 115. I think we're going to see him come down and qualify probably at that 240. And I think in the United States, I don't think there's anybody that could beat him at 240. I think the problems lie with the super heavyweights that have anatomical gifts over him. We saw him lose a couple like matches in like a local event where he pulled like every class he could. And I was scratching my head because I'm like, man, I don't know that guy to just beat him. And I know everybody. And it was basically it was stylistic deal. I think if we see Pavlo at 6'2", 240 pounds or 220 pounds, he is going to be like the upper echelon for us on the East.
Derek, you ever pulled Pablo at all?
We did after pulling in like 2019 at the last Arnold's I went to. I think it was 2019. We got on the table afterwards, and we were mixing it up a little bit. But I mean, he's a different human. I'm a different human. That was a long time ago. But I remember being super impressed. Like definitely a lot stronger than he looked back then before he put on all this muscle. So I can't imagine how strong he is right now.
Right. I would think Derek would pose a major anatomical problem for Pablo. You know what I mean? Probably only chance would be to turn him in, which would be really hard to do. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. His 6'2" frame, like really leaned out at like 240 or 220, he's going to be really, really scary. I think Sabin's style had a lot to do with that too. All the pressure on the wrist. So I think extremely highly of both men. And I really think Pavlo, and I've said it to Engen before, like, at that weight class, he is like one of the best we have to offer.
You know a match I like, and I'm going to go to Rolly Ray. What do you think of Sandris and Pavlo at that lower weight class, at the sort of 110, 115 type of look? Hard
Pablo
match,
has
easy
a lot
match.
of. I think Sanders right now has just too many weapons. And we talked Pablo, and Pablo's like, I'm strong, but I know I lack technique. And for a guy that has great technique in pretty much every aspect, can easily break that. So I'm looking at that match. Let's see, because Pablo didn't feel comfortable at this weight. Like absolutely didn't feel comfortable. He's like I'm just too big. So he won't settle down. He has like 3 or 4 super matches already set up for this year. Of course, he was supposed to pull Mike, I think in May or something. So that's
right,
all.
yeah.
Mike
Mike's
injured,
blown his
right?
bicep, I hear.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Yeah, Monster Mike. So sorry to hear that's happened to you, mate. Best of luck with the recovery. Not a great injury for anyone to have, but hopefully Monster Michael Todd can get surgery quick and come back.
What are Pablo's other matches? Who else is he at?
You know, a match I think would be great. You know, we just saw David Arabulli.
Yeah.
Chance. Can you imagine that one?
I
Early on.
can't to make them both come down a little bit.
I think
Yeah.
Arabuli and Pavlo would absolutely go nuts.
I like that.
That'd be good
Pablo
fight.
is pulling Artem with left.
Yes, that's one of them. I know
Yeah,
he's also
fucking-
pulling my training partner, like my mentor, Dave Morocco. He's got him, but that's a long ways away. That's in December. It's interesting though, because that's going to be a weird stylistic clash.
Morocco's weird, man. Weird stuff.
Yes.
And there's more. I think more. I just forgot what were the names.
I mean, Taranenko Artem's not a big man. If he wins
But
that match, Jesus. Christ.
That's what we're talking about though, Neil. Like Artem and Pablo have practiced on multiple occasions, and Artem's style gives Pablo major problems, major. And he's admitted it. Like, I can beat stronger guys, but I have problems with you. So I think that's kind of where it's come from. And there's a lot of practice video out there with Artem cracking him over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting stuff.
Artem
How do you
very
think him and
strong.
Chance would go?
I think Chance would probably be able to stay outside of his hand unless he really, if he could sustain bully in that setup. To me, technically, he's so good in the setup until he's not, until that dissipates. But his setup is very, very intimidating. So in order to protect his hand against Chance, he would have to be on his setup game.
Mm-hmm. So we got a super chat from Joe Mama just come in for Derek. But Derek, were you annoyed when Larry Wheels asked you if you ever work out with weights? Seemed like subtle shade.
Hey, you know what? That day last week when he was here, I don't blame him for asking me that at all. I mean, no, I wasn't angry. Larry asking me that at all. What he meant was he was asking if I just do like pure table time like Devin, or if I'm in the gym as well, is what he's asking. Yep. But no, man, that doesn't bother me.
It is it's quite harsh, that, isn't it? At the time when I was sat on a bus and a woman said, "You pregnant, son?" Yeah, hit me quite hard. But so I want to go same question for Rolly Ray. Rolly, Sabin Badalescu, where does he go next? Who would you put him in with? After a great start with Pablo, came back, looked impressive, looked like he was finding his feet and his confidence. Who would you throw him at, or who would you throw at him?
He said he wants to pull, like, he's a super heavyweight host, so he wants to pull all the super heavyweights that are there. And like, he was excited. He wants to pull Gennady eventually, and some other guys as well. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of guys to choose from. For me, it's like I really don't care for him, because again, I don't care who they put him against, because that's the match that's going to tell the tale. Because you have to face other super heavyweights to figure out where you lie in that whole, in the whole rankings right now. Because Pablo, as great as he is, or strong as he is, he's not there. So for me, you have to pull those guys, and then we'll figure it out pretty much. He wants to pull Arif. He wants to pull Arif as well. So
that's a
tall order.
Yeah, that's a hard match. Arif Ertem is a great puller.
Also, Ferit.
Arif
and Ferit. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what about Sabin versus Sandris then?
That's an interesting match,
right?
Can Sanders deal with that? Can Sanders deal with that? Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
But
an
again,
interesting match.
But the thing is, that he's in pursuit. Like, for me, you have to pull your weight class. For me, I kind of feel like you have to pull your own weight class.
Yeah.
And Sanders is much smaller, like Pablo, even smaller than Pablo. And if your ambitions is to be the best of the best, or the top, of the top, you have to pull there.
Yeah.
And those are the super heavyweights.
So
Sabin has a belly though, man.
Pretty comprehensive breakdown of match number one there. I mean, we got a couple of super chats in. Carolyn Looms just coming with a super chat. Hi, old Derek. Great practice with Larry, and he seemed in awe of being around the most arm wrestlers at one time. He said, "Alpha Empire, you rock." So
thank you, Carolyn. You're amazing.
Big practice there. Juji Mugu with a super chat. Everyone, please contribute so Monster Michael Todd can buy the remaining trophies needed to get up to 100. You know what I'm saying, Rebecca?
No, I'm saying.
Got up. Oof, it's a bit harsh, isn't it? Been in on Mike. Mike's had a rough run of luck recently. It really has. Agent of Chaos coming in with a super chat. Do people still believe Larry can become elite? I do.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think Larry is progressing quite well. I mean, he's not been in the sport very long. The guy's clearly an exceptionally strong individual. If he continues to make gains and get training with the right guys, yeah, who knows? You know, I mean, Derek, you've just pulled him. Where do you think he can go?
Larry, like at least in terms of California, Larry, I think the upcoming matches are going to be like Larry and Vrej having wars. I think Larry overtakes Vrej, and within the a year or two of consistent pulling, starts taking Vrej out. Vrej is a weird angle type of guy, but he's already one of the top guys lefty in California, right-handed, top 3, top 4. I'm sure he'll be knocking on my door here relatively soon. Trying to get him a match with him and Mega Mike relatively quick. But yeah, left-handed in the nation at his weight, dude. Top 5. I wouldn't be surprised if he was top 5 at 242s at heavyweights, left-handed. Right-handed, maybe top 10. The thing is, you grip up with Larry or you see him, you think his wrist is going to be strong. His wrist is actually really strong, and he's leading with it. Everything is high, posting backwards as strong as he can be. His wrist is a lot stronger than you'd think it'd be, and then you get on his bicep, and that's wild, right? So it's just getting a little more comfortable on transitions and stuff on the table, but he's tightening up way better. He's looking a lot more comfortable. Yeah. I was putting him in some situations and he was doing the correct thing. We talked, but at the same time, the questions he'll have for me off camera are like, so how does defensive hook work again? Some more basic type stuff, but he's just looking way more comfortable. And I think him being a little smaller size.
There's no such thing as defensive hook.
Oh, my bad. But
okay?
Like, just,
pay attention, Derek, okay? Pay freaking attention.
And one thing that's always shocked me with Larry is that when you talk to him, you get his undivided attention. He is like a sponge. Like when you talk about something, Larry is all in, trying to learn everything you say. He's dialed in. So
tremendous stuff. It'll be interesting to see, in his next outing where he's at, and particularly on stamina and endurance, because it's been a bit of a problem for Larry. I think he's doing great. I think he's stick on the course he's on. He's doing great. So Danny Bio 1 with a super chat, epic event. Don't know if you guys have talked about it yet, but how do you see Devon versus Dennis going down? I personally can't wait to see how Devon works in Dennis's open top roll. I think that match is going to be really interesting for a number of reasons. Personal experience of pulling with Devon and seeing Devon recently, I think he's extremely strong right now. I mean, we'll get Ray's take on that shortly, but I think he's really strong. I also think he's got the leverage advantage. Dennis is on the rise. Last night was very comfortable for him. I thought he was gracious, but comfortable. And it'd be good. He would not be comfortable with Devon, from what I can see. Certainly the guy that pulled last night would not be comfortable with Devon. So, yeah, I think right now I've got Devon all day. What is interesting is that Dennis believes he's very professional, he's an approach to things, and I think he feels like he can make a great deal of gains. I also think Devon probably can. Great match. And I don't know whether it's been publicly agreed or formalized yet, but I hear that it's going down in October and discussions have already started. So, great.
In Devon's video, Devon said in his video, he wants to see how it goes with Gennady first, to see whether he's going to commit 100% to that match or not. I think that was the last update he said.
Makes sense, without a doubt. So 100 amateur trophies, laughed my ass off with a super chat. Where is this shit? So with this shit, that may be one of the best I've ever seen. That is funny. Derek, oh mate. Derek, don't give up, brother. Get stronger. Paul and Raymond's cats doing great. Uncle Javelin. His Uncle Javelin. What you guys think is Jerry's chances, if any, in the super heavyweights? Well, Jerry should be coming on with a bit of luck if he remembers. He did tell me earlier on today he's coming on the show, so hopefully you can ask Jerry that himself. But I think there's going to be a lot of people who believe that Jerry Cadorette has something. Styles make matches, yes. He's very different on the starts to Ermes, but if he can secure the press, he's certainly more dangerous than Ermes in that area. So, yeah, I mean, Derek, Paul, John, Ray, throw in any comments, guys, on how you see Jerry Cadorette doing there. I mean, whoever wants to take that one on.
Well, I just feel like... No, go ahead, John.
I was just looking at a lot of those matches where Ermes went F you and decided to go into mega mode, and he's like totally relying on that inner elbow, and he's just pushing through Levan. And I'm thinking, that looks a lot like the Jerry Cadorette Georgie Svetkov match is what that looked like, right? And you got to imagine that Jerry in that position is going to be just as, if not more dangerous than what we saw from Ermes. But can he stop him, and can he get there? I don't know.
It's the stop.
Yeah.
The way Ermes stopped him, like leaning back, like Jerry's going to come forward. Jerry's going to come and stop this way. Ermes stopped it like this.
Jerry's not going to do that.
Bicep, brachioradialis, all that pressure. His ability to stop it there, to me, was the most impressive part of the entire. I mean, we're watching it in the bar, and everybody went nuts at the slip, just because Ermes could slip. Right. And then when he got to stop like this, everyone went even crazy. So that, to me, I mean, if Jerry can stop it, I think we all agree that we're going to see like a crazy war. But stylistically, I wonder if the stop's feasible.
Yeah, that stop and Levan hitting and using his shoulder and his inner elbow, that side pressure is kind of what ended up stalling a little bit. And then it carried over to the press and him not being able to open up Ermes. But at the same time, I mean, Levan's arm never went past 90. His wrist never failed or went anywhere near failing. So is it just a game of who's going to be the first person to foul Levan out? Is that the game we're playing? Right? Is like who's going to be the first one to foul Levan out of a match? But like, he didn't look in danger of getting pinned yet. I mean, he was getting gassed. Maybe that was about to happen. But
yeah, I gotta say, I think I'm the biggest Levan fan in the world, and I think he would have got pinned.
You think so?
I think
that's the big argument. People are real wound up about that foul that was called because people are confused still on if it's running fouls, and if that was supposed to be a running foul, they only would have stopped it if there was some kind of advantage gained, and he was going backwards, so it's hard to claim there was advantage gained. But I don't know. There's a lot of people wound up about that one.
Big time gray area there, because and I was not under in the moment, I was not in full understanding of what I was watching. Afterwards, I listened to Devin talk about it, and then I reviewed the rules and everything, and I get it now. So elbow outside of the pad is a restart no matter what. But incidental fouls, slight fouls, hops were runners, and it would keep going as long as there was no advantage gained. But what happens if your elbow pops out and there's no advantage gained? Well,
the whole ethos of the original running foul, and this is a thing, I'm biased because we created the running foul in Arm Wars. That's how it's done there. That is not how it was observed in WL. That is not how it's been observed in other leagues. You can't comment on these things as though, okay, this is the running foul, how it's utilized in this promotion, when in actuality it's not. It's slightly different. Because if you looked at the running foul in WL, which I was heavily involved with, and the running foul in Arm Wars, the running foul in WL was never what it was supposed to be. It was actually being observed incorrectly. It was called incorrectly a number of times, which created a great deal of negativity for WL.
Right.
And obviously I had a lot to say about it at that time because it wasn't being observed correctly. Now, last night, take running fouls out of the equation entirely. Do you believe that Levan Saganashvili would have had his arm forced to the pad if that match had continued? Let's go Ray, first of all. You were right there. How did you see that? Do you think that arm was going to go to the pad if that hadn't been called?
Round 5, yes.
Paul?
I think if there was an unlimited pad space on the back and forward for Ermes, I think Levan eventually gets pinned. But I think that those matches, most likely, the way they were playing out, end on fouls. I think the way Ermes was driving, where the hands were positioned as far as center table goes, like Ermes was not intentionally driving Levan off, but Levan was on the back of the pad, back pressure. And every time Ermes drove, that's just what happened. I don't think anyone gamed the system. I don't think any of Levan's fouls were intentional for a restart. I think it was just what was going to happen.
I mean, that was the other thing that you were seeing pop up, people saying, Ermes isn't trying to force the pin, he's trying to force the foul.
Yeah.
No. I think he was going for the pin.
Yeah.
Personally, I think there's everybody's going to see it differently. I think he was going for the pin. And it was just a sticking spot but there was already for me a significant degree of fatigue in Levan's arm. Also, he's 4 up at this point.
Yeah.
And you do wonder whether just that plays a big part.
How cool was it, though, that we've seen a match lost, right? It's 4-0, and we saw no let up on the gas by either guys. You very rarely see that. Usually it's 4-0, you know, you give a match away, or, you know, you say, okay, we're done, whatever. Ermes clearly, I think, by nature showed that there is no quit in him, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like his inner human, he still wants, okay, I lost the match, but I'm going to be the first guy to pin this on.
Yeah, he was playing for blood every round.
And I think that's where a lot of the fans are like, oh, no, Ermes was cheated out of the chance to be the first guy to pin his arm. So, but there's nothing that can be done now, and I don't think any of it was intentional. It was just how things played out.
Yeah. Sorry, somebody's going to jump in then. Go, guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say in terms of the foul thing and the advantage gain, I feel like there was no position gain. But if you also got to think, so say Levan's elbow stays in the pad and Ermes is able to apply that pressure, does his side pressure get opened up, or does his brachialis get opened up? Right. So by sliding your elbow off, you're maintaining that tightness. So it is kind of an advantage gained, because that's your way of getting that pressure out and not having your arm open up. So it is kind of an advantage, but maybe not position gained, but advantage gained. I could see that a little bit. I don't know. I was thinking that.
See the argument.
The thing with Levan, you know, people saying, oh, a lot of people have been throwing shade at him, saying, oh, he gave up, you know, and this, that, and the other. From what you could see, if the guy is genuinely feeling that unwell and he's already won the match,
yeah,
I kind of get it.
Yeah,
you know, I kind of get it. What I would say is that I thought it was, in a way, nice, kind of poetic justice to some extent, that Ermes got something out of that, because he deserved it for the valiant effort. I mean, the guy went out on his shield, he went balls out, red line, couldn't have gone any harder. I think he evolved last night.
Yeah.
I think the opinion, certainly my opinion of him, evolved. We saw glimpses of it when he pulled Dave, that he had those different capabilities and that he's very strong with them.
Yeah.
But last night he cemented that. I mean, cemented that he is a guy with multiple angles that he can use in red line situations against the absolute highest caliber opponent.
Yeah,
the
dude unbelievable. And I think he gained so many more fans. I think he stole fans from Levan. I think everybody's he showed that the mythical beast bleeds. And then like a true Spartan, he went out on his shield trying to make him bleed more. And I think the reason why there's drama and there's so much chirping around it is the time in which the match was conceded. If the match was conceded after round 4, we wouldn't be talking about it. That was just Levan being benevolent and giving them 2 rounds or whatever, we wouldn't be talking about it. But because they both stepped to the table in round 5, and then there was a foul and another long, grueling setup match, and then another foul, and then we didn't get to see the pin in 5 or even the foul out. I think that's the point of contention. Not that they agreed not to continue, but the time in which they did.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's knock over a couple of.
It's just convenient.
We got V Porge with a super chat. Thanks for your support, mate. Just put hype. Thank you, brother. Much appreciate that. Really appreciate it. We got Josh, no surname. Funny how people are saying Ermes faced a weaker Levan than Devon just because he did so well. What are your thoughts?
I've heard that. I've heard that too. I mean, what is weaker? I mean, he's heavier. He was heavier, right? Because versus Devon, he was 393, 396. He was 415. I know weight doesn't always correlate perfectly, but I didn't think he looked any weaker than usual. He looked massive.
Yeah, I thought he looked rock strong. I mean, it's how the hell do you grade that one? I really don't know, but I thought Levan, let's be honest, Levan did great. I mean, I can't throw any shade at Levan. I thought he was exceptional. I think the guy's fantastic. I think he's a great arm wrestler.
What are we talking about? I thought Levan had COVID when he pulled Devon. I thought there was a whole bunch of preemptive what people would call those built-in excuses, like,
Yeah,
but they were real. Like, he's coming off of COVID, he was sick, he had a bunch of issues. So how is that a stronger version? I don't know. I don't see that point really.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that it's like, he was stronger when he fought this night. That I don't know.
Yeah.
But you got the man looked very, very strong to me.
The only argument there is that he took Devin more seriously, in preparation. Maybe because there was that heated buildup and Devin got under his skin. Maybe he came in with a little bit more piss and vinegar. But I think he, like you said, he was bigger and he looked stronger to me.
The only time that Levan may have backed off the gas a little bit was when he got the fourth round.
Yeah.
There may have been something that, that pressure valve may have come off there when he got to 4. It can happen. And you can understand it. He's over the crest, isn't he? Certainly the guy doesn't want to lose any rounds, but he's already in. Let's make no mistake about it. He was already in at this point an absolute dogfight.
Yeah.
Which deteriorated the bloke's health to the point where he felt very unwell. So at that point in time, when you're over the precipice, you've done it, you've cracked it. Yeah, he's probably thinking, you know what, that'll do. If you feel like you're genuinely risking like there's something may go, you're thinking, nah, that's it, enough. It's not a joke. If you feel
a question that's been rolling around in my head a little bit. And I know some people immediately when I say this are gonna be like, it's a stupid question. But okay, so Levan, who I think has the best knowledge of this, said Devin was the second strongest guy on the planet, right? After that. Mm-hmm. Now, according to the results of the match, obviously the Ermes and Levan match looked closer than the Devin and Levan match. But I wonder if, I don't know if Levan's already answered this question, if he has Ermes as stronger than Devin. And I don't know if I believe 100% that he would. I mean, Devin in that first round compromised a very important part potentially of Levan. Mm-hmm. Compared to Ermes was I don't want to say desperation, but it was more like an uglier style. I don't know how else to word it, of making it into a match. So I wonder what Levan would say about that in terms of comparing the two. When Devin exposed Levan's cup, which is a major part of everything, and then Ermes kind of exposed due to angles and wedges and stuff like that, was able to stop from getting pinned long enough to make it a endurance match, basically. So I don't know. I wonder what Levan would say. I've been thinking about that.
I'm pretty sure he will come on and talk about that, and I think as soon as he does come on, he's going to get questioned on it, And I think that's going to be a topic that. But even how can you ever answer something like that? Because you never truly know, do you? You can say, and most arm wrestlers are going to say, "No, I was the very best shape of my life when I fit." It's the off the shelf answer. Was he? Who the hell knows? Yeah. Who knows? And it's very difficult to. Ray just mentioned that. It's very difficult to say with any kind of accuracy where you were at. It really is. But one thing we can say, he was fucking strong.
Without a granular breakdown of the specific arm wrestler and their strengths and weaknesses, we use these blanket terms of like, oh, this person's stronger than this person. Yeah. It's all subjective.
Right.
And Derek, you make a great point where Devin challenged him. That component right there is huge for Levan. So how would Levan see that? It'd be very interesting, but I don't see how anyone can say which one's strong.
Well, talking about strength with Levan, obviously massively important because he's massively strong. But now that we've seen him actually be forced to arm wrestle, what did you guys think about his technical arm wrestling ability? Now that we got to see some of it.
I think he's great. Yeah, I think he's great. Like us all, he can brush you up, and in the heat of the moment, you can. It's so easy for us to sit there and pick a guy apart, and he made this mistake, and he made this mistake, and you know what? He may go back to review the tape and think, shit, I should have seen my palm when I was coming to collect there, and I inverted too much. But it's easy to say that when you're not the dude that's redlining and sucking in air. We've all been there. Who the hell hasn't been in that situation where after the fact you can see 3 things that you could have done better that would have made that, you could have hit that transition. You could have done lots of things. But in the moment, did you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who haven't been there?
I was watching it, and I was live on Discord. I was in a chat room with a bunch of people while we were all watching it together, and not illegal streaming. We all had our own streams, by the way. We all bought it. Just we were all talking about it.
Sure.
But I was saying to them, once Ermes started, wrist was taken and started stopping Levan, I go, man, all Levan needs to do is slide that elbow and make that offensive hit a lot more powerful. And then the very next round, I see Levan slide that elbow, and that's when he started pinning Ermes again. So the adjustment was awesome. I was like, dude, perfect. He's doing it perfect.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
It's,
I thought when he got stopped and got in trouble, it wasn't because of like a clear mistake. I thought he arm wrestled very well. And
I do. I thought he was great.
Ermes just made him redline.
Yeah. Yeah, and fatigue's a thing. And the man is so big and so heavy that it's, for every blessing, there is a curse. And that size is going to work against you. If someone can be powerful enough to put the brakes on and to make you work, you're just a man. I mean, how many times, let's be honest here, it's difficult for Levan to get to that kind of situation. How the hell do you put that man in a real-time red line battle, engaging all the elements of his game? Who the fuck who are you going to bring in? It's like, oh yeah, just work with this guy. We all get the opportunity to work with people who can put us in that kind of red line, apart from those absolute rare air-breathing bastards that are in the elite of the supers. People like Dave Chafee, he's got nobody to train with. Lucas back in the day. Nobody. Once you get to the absolute peak of the sport, your opportunity to get out there and truly test yourself to anywhere near that red line is incredible. It's a lot slimmer than me.
It's only in competition.
I mean, and even then, for him, until last night, we didn't think there was anybody that could have done anything. So fair, every credit to the lad. I thought Levan deserves massive respect. I thought Levan did a great job. He went up in my estimation. I was actually really pleased to see him get into that situation. And you know what? One thing I loved? I loved it. It touched me, actually. Really did, genuinely moved me. When Jake went over and he was interviewing him after, and he's such a humble guy, Levan, and he said, "Thanks, Ermes, for the best match of my life." He really enjoyed it. That was awesome. I fucking loved that.
The best.
How good was that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think all arm wrestlers are twisted, man. We all love that pain and that grind. I mean, that's why we're in it. That's why we don't think guys that quit. That we stayed in the sport. I mean, we're all sadistic with that, or whatever the word is.
Exactly, mate. That is why you go. That's the one, isn't it? That's why we're there.
Yeah.
That's the match you're chasing. And it's a lonely existence for that kid, because who the friggin' hell is putting him into that kind of scenario? Very few. And it's not, you get the accolades, and you get the, everybody screaming your name when you're kicking everybody's head in, but you don't enjoy it like when you're in that barnstorming death war. That's when you really enjoy it. Win, lose, or draw.
On like a local level, I mean, it's for me, locally, like, I never get to arm wrestle. I tell people all the time, it's just like, I'm just too strong. And so I never get to have fun and get put in a situation where I got to figure something out, solve some problems and things like that. And because I love arm wrestling. I love the act of arm wrestling, finding answers and things like that. And I never get to do it. It's so annoying.
It really touched me last night when he said that. It was, and he meant it. You know what I mean? The dude meant it, and it was lovely. Good for you, Levan Saganashvili. I love the guy. I think he's ace. I love both of them. I think Ermes is a great dude, and Levan's a great dude. You meet these guys, you cannot dislike them. They're just lovely guys, 90% of the arm wrestlers that I've ever met are great, There's the odd massive penis, but very few. Anyway, White Wolf with the super chat, ladies and gentlemen. White Wolf, mate, thank you very much. What's up, lads? Have we started talking about running fouls and whatnot during King of the Table? I know Ray was on the channel earlier. Sup, Ray? Meow. Mate, Ray is still knocking in the chat, but he's got to go and catch a plane. We didn't expect Ray to come on the show tonight. He wasn't due to come on, but he's had no sleep, getting ready for his flight, and he just dipped in the show. We are expecting Jerry and Devon. I've just sent him a message. Hope they do show up. Big Grove Goats with the super chat. Thanks, mate. He's put, diverting for a minute. What is everyone's opinion of Paul Italia's tactics with Monster Michael Todd? As a promoter, is that a good tactic? Is he playing with fire? I'm going to have to tap out here, guys, because I don't know a lot about this. I've just heard a little bit, but I've not.
I think Paul's just trying to stir stuff up, man. He's just trying to get activity moving and clicks and things like that. I don't think he's doing anything like malice or trying to destroy anybody. I think he's just trying to get things moving, stir some.
Is this the $1,000 for anybody that beats him, and then Michael gave it someone? Is that what we're talking, or has it gone further?
Yeah. I mean that but he has like 5K match or 10K match for Jerry and Devin. He's just trying to like throw money out there and get things moving. It seems like shake them things up. I don't read into it as he's doing anything evil, but maybe I don't know his true intentions. But
I'm not here to comment on the morality. I'm just here to comment on the entertainment, and it is all right.
So mixed opinions here, Paul. You got any thoughts on that, mate? As the nicest member of Armwrestling.
Do you want me to stay politically correct or not?
No, Paul. No, show us. Say the real stuff.
Mate, we had RBJ on this last week.
So I agree with John. For the entertainment purposes, it's awesome, right? Yeah, we got a lot of hype around it, and a lot of these comments that I'm reading right now are about that, and we're not even talking about that. So that's hype. Any hype is good hype. The time in which this is happening and the way in which it's happening, and me knowing Michael personally and what's going on in his life personally,
yes,
it's not the time for him to be dealing with this as a human being. Will there be repercussions? I know Michael, and I know Michael's not going to let it go. Like he'll roll with the punches now, but I mean, God forbid these guys are ever in the same room, because either Michael is secretly on board and they are working together with an agreement to generate hype, which would be the biggest,
awesome.
Like that would be the biggest thing of all time, and it would be amazing. And I wouldn't put it past like the realm of possibility. But if that's not the case, this is going to get weird. It's already weird. And if they're ever in person, it's going to be super weird. So I don't know. Is it a tactic I would do as a promoter? Never. But, the hype's the hype, I guess. But Michael, tearing his bicep now and, having his mom in the hospital and stuff when all this is going on, this is not the time to be messing with it.
No, it isn't. And just on behalf of myself, Mike, I know what you're going through with your mum and stuff, mate. And obviously with the bicep injury, I've known Mike for coming up 30 years. The guy's a great lad. And I hope everything's all right with your mum.
There's a little bit more to it too. I mean, I just saw a post by Josh Wood, who I guess is like Michael's stepson or son. And they're going, like, these guys are going back and forth in DMs to talk about fighting, all kinds of silly stuff. That just, what are we talking? Keep it classy.
Yeah, there's no need. So Agent of Chaos with a super chat. Thanks, brother. He put Ermes did awesome. But if the cardio wasn't an issue, I'm not sure it was a close match. Levan needs to work endurance and flop wrist defense. Any thoughts on that one, guys?
I'm going to put out a video here in the next couple of days. I've been thinking a lot about a potential, like, I don't know, just talking about potential weight cap, like, and put like a high one. And the idea
for someone who's like 400 pounds.
No, but I'm saying like 350. We have to remember this is a combat sport, but also a strength sport, right? So combat sports end at like 265, but we all have the strength aspect. So I'm thinking something like 350, but something like where we don't have to. It sucks as a super heavyweight knowing that if I ever want to get to the number one spot, I pretty much have to take years off my life. I'm going to sacrifice a lot. There's no way around it. Right. And then what's the future? It's Brian Shaw's and bigger. Like, that's the future of our sport. Like, how big and crazy do we have to get? How much do we have to risk? And I also think if we had a weight cap, one, it'd keep everybody healthier. We'd have closer matches, right? And everything like that. And I don't know, man. I just been toying around the idea in my head. I'm gonna make a video talking about it. It's just in terms of the cardio thing that made me think.
That's a really interesting thought-provoking point. And particularly coming from a big lad like you, Derek. A guy that is genuine giant. Yeah. So that's a very good for you.
Derek, why do you have to fat shame the guys over 350 pounds, Derek? Why you gotta bring that?
I'm just looking in the future. Is it just going to be we just keep getting more and more massive and unhealthy just to, and I know the crowd wants to see the biggest freaks. I get that. But like, I don't know, I'm having a little heart for them. I don't know, man. Yeah. Like, I'm sure Levan and them wouldn't want it, but at the same point, I think everybody can admit, like, it'd be better in terms of health and safety and stuff, like having some kind of cap on it. I mean, geez, like, I don't know.
So Jake Arthur's just come in and said, 1,000 people, is there? 1,000 people in here, apparently. Let's go, Arm Wrestling fans. Holy shit.
Really?
Hit that like button, guys. If there is 1,000 people in here, hit that like button. How many likes we got? I'll look in a minute. Yeah, mega. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to The Fix. If you are in the show, give us a sub, give us a like if you just joined, and also get over and sub to these guys' channels. We got Derek Smith, get over, sub. We got Uncle John, get over and sub, and he'll javelin your ass. And last but by no means least, the very sexy White Oak Paul Linn Lethal Arms. Get over there, give him a sub. He deserves it. He's a human biscuit. Nice as fuck. Now then, let's have a look. Agent of Chaos, he ain't playing games tonight with the super chats. He's put, makes me wonder if Devon didn't tear his bicep, if he would have successfully gassed Levan. Great match, and I hope Ermes wins next time. What it did do is allow people to see that there is a hope that people have a shot. That's what it did do, you know. It's kind of a shame in some ways that people will always back the underdog, because Levan is a very, very, very talented individual as well. He's not just a giant that's super strong. He can pull.
Yeah.
I mean, for a man that big, he moves well.
Mm.
You know, you could see that last night. He moved well. He moved with fluidity. He's a good puller.
Mm.
I was very impressed with him. Really, really impressed with him. SG Records with a super chat. I would join the show if I was worthy. Much love, mate. You are definitely worthy. Love that guy. SG's a great kid. Love him. Top man. Mediocre Pronator, thanks for your super chat, mates. But people forgot Ermes went toe-to-toe with the prime Michael Todd and didn't gas out. Believe the match ended on fouls. Ermes as a surprising gas tank. Yeah.
That was a
Beating.
220-pound version of Ermes, too.
Yeah, that was a universe ago.
Ermes has been impressive since a baby.
I mean, Ermes was sucking wind too. I mean, I get it. Levan had an oxygen tank, but Ermes was sucking wind too. He was
Holy
yes. Buddy, Ermes is like my height. If you ever see me at 293, you're going to see me in a wheelchair.
exactly.
Yeah. You might see me at that weight, mate, but I will be in a donut coma. That's what will happen. And it'll be okay. It's me and the donuts. We'll be good to go. Let's have a look. We got a couple more super chats in. Josh knows the name. I disagree with what Derek is saying. Ermes stopped Levan 4 times and also stopped him center table round 3. Much more impressive than Devon getting slightly compromising of the wrist with a king's move once. Yeah, but to be fair, also Devon was injured in that very first hit, so we don't know what would have happened, could have happened, and we never will. And whilst I'm sure people will argue about it, that's the reality of it. We ain't going to know what would have happened there. But for now, let's focus on Ermes and what he did, and it was good.
You know what I found interesting about the Devin slight bicep tear? When I talked to him about it, I just assumed it happened when he dropped into the Kings. It happened like right after the go in the setup.
Yeah, that's what he told me.
That could be really interesting, and he kind of made it seem like that's how strong this guy is. Somehow he tore my bicep static.
Yeah, it's a combination, isn't it? It's a combination of his own top end and also, and probably there was things in there that have been getting ready to go. I mean, it's like, you know, Michael's bicep. Yes, it tore the other day in a probably pretty benign match, but was there inherent damage in there that's been getting ready to go for a long while and just hasn't popped yet? I believe so. You know, I think that's been coming for a while, and it's just a cumulative effect. And that's really what happened, you know. So yeah, that's it's an interesting take on things. But yeah, I think I'm interested to see where Levan goes now from a headspace thing. Does he feel more human? Does he does that air of invincibility erode a little bit? Does he feel like he can be touched? Does he feel like he needs to sort of change what he's doing? Does he think it's broke and he needs to fix it? Because I don't know whether it is. I know everybody's saying, oh, well, he's just too big. He's going to gas out all the time now. He needs to lose so much weight. Well, you know, how do you guys see that? Does he need a big change, or was it just a road bump?
Well, it depends on how much of a key the top guys take away from watching that match, and if they can emulate what Ermes did, right? Ermes showed a path. He showed a path, and he cleared out a little of the brush. He didn't give you the whole map, but at least you know where you can start. So it's just very similar to the King's move, right?
Yeah.
Where people started forever. They're like, what the hell is going on? And then slowly we've seen the King's move not be as successful just because people kind of figured out how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we just had a super chat in from Mediocre Pronator. Thanks, mate. Again, for the mighty Derek. He's just put, to Derek's point, if we want this sport to be more popular to the masses, we need the athletes to be closer to natural. So a little bit of love and support for Derek Smith's point there. I thought it was a really interesting point, that Derek. I really do. It was a hell of a point to make, particularly from a guy of your size and scale. So White Wolf with a super chat. He's put hashtag Paul Linn is the best at paying attention to the chat and responding. Feck all you other guys.
Shut up, White Wolf.
Just
White
kidding.
Wolf, I'm all
You
over
guys
that
are pretty
chat,
great
bro.
too. White Wolf, good lad.
Get out of here.
Yeah, so good, Nick. Here we go. Not my monkeys, not my circus. Hail the panel. Hail the chat. One of the originals, not my monkeys. Absolute quality. Yeah. I did I think I'll just check with no more. Oh, we do. Silky Wilkie. Levan still holds the legacy hammer, but I'm sure he won't mind if little brother Ermes gets to hold or play with it for a while too. Devon is proud of Ermes, I'm sure, and will probably give him the interim crown for his efforts. Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to start talking about that match soon if they haven't already. Everybody's going to start going down the road of, this is the match we want to see. Everybody wants to see it. Well, will it happen? We shall see. But
hasn't Devin sworn himself to never pull Ermes?
I think he shouldn't even walk past him. You know, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I think timing of the essence. I think Devon will let it build. I honestly think that's what he'll do. He'll let it build up. He'll let it gather as much momentum and hype as possible. Tease it out as long as he can, and then it'll come down to it, and it'll be interesting when it does. You know, I think there's some other great matches coming. Hopefully, if Jerry does jump on here, I was very, very keen to get Devon and Jerry's feedback on what went down last night. I've had a chat to both, obviously, briefly, in planning for tonight, and they both said they were coming on. Thanks, lads, for jumping on. Yeah, bastards. I'm sure they'll be on in a little while. But let's just check. We've had no more super chats. Nick Patara. He's put Levan should have walked back up to the table and let Ermes pin him in a humble and symbolic gesture. The game without the game. With Levan, his will he lose a round would have been huge and avoided controversy. Yeah, and he's probably thinking, look, if you're him, he's probably thinking, well, I haven't actually been physically pinned yet.
Yeah.
You know, and he's got that little, it's hard to not see it your way when you're that guy. You know, with hindsight, would he do things different? Maybe. But he fought his corner pretty good. I think he performed very well, and he fought his corner pretty good. So I think it'll be interesting when the dust settles and all the feedback comes to these guys after they've had a little bit of time to reflect and after everybody's calmed down a little bit, just whether both these guys think, you know what, the most exciting match out there for me right now is an immediate rematch. It is going straight back in as soon as they can. Or whether they think, yeah, I need a little bit more to develop. I need to do something slightly different first. That's what I'm quite keen to see, particularly from Ermes.
Yeah, I hope they wait a little bit, a bit. I hope they wait.
Yeah, and just pull a couple of lads first.
I don't know. I would love to see it same time next year.
Okay. Yeah. Well, isn't Ermes slated to pull Jerry? Like East versus West? Or did I make that up?
I don't know. I haven't heard that, but possibly.
Yeah.
Didn't Jerry get hurt? I think that was going to happen. Didn't Jerry get hurt?
Quite possibly. Yeah. But I thought later in the year they talked about that happening like July or something. I don't know. Maybe, as I say, don't quote me on that. But I thought they were looking at something in like July for that. maybe I'm ahead of the game and maybe that isn't going to happen. And if Jerry comes on, maybe he can confirm that as well, but we will see. So Big Grove Goats with a super chat. What about from a staking standpoint? If you sell shutout stakes for a 6-round match, isn't it critical they pull all 6 rounds? I wonder about that legally. You know what, mate? I have absolutely no idea. Again, if Dev comes on, maybe that's something he can answer. White Wolf with another super chat. Oh no, I've got that one. It's just where he's telling us we're all dicks. So, which is fair enough. And it's not the first time I've been called a dick son, let me tell you. A Rose with a super chat. Do you believe that Jerry would stand a chance against Levan with his flop press? I personally think Ermes is way above Jerry. Who wants that one, lads?
I mean, yeah.
It's kind of like Paul. Oh,
go ahead, Derek. Go ahead.
I say it's kind of like Paul mentioned earlier. It's just like the way that the flop press became what it became is because of the stop, because of the fight early on and where he stopped Levan. Jerry's not going to try to roll out and stop Levan there and gas Levan's shoulder and elbow a little bit until he finally got tired and finally gets a wedge. Jerry's going to go right into it. And so Fresh, I don't know if Jerry can stop him stylistically. I don't know how he puts the brakes on him like Ermes did. And that's a big part of what happened, I think. So I mean, yeah, if Jerry gets his spot, gets all the way in there and starts grinding in there, yeah, then maybe. But getting there is gonna be the tough part, and so I'm not sure how that goes.
Yeah, it's all like you say, John. You were going to make a point, mate. Do you want to jump in?
Well, I would definitely like to see it. I think that, but I mean, when you look at the Cadorette match versus Svetkov, and then look at what Ermes was doing with Levan, I mean, it is similar, right? So how did Jerry get in that position with Georgie as compared to how it ended up going there with Levan, right? Because they ended up in the same position. Am I wrong or am I right?
No, I think it's a very engaging argument, and it's one that's very difficult to answer. Right. There's an enormous difference in the initiation in this match and the approach to the match. It's the precursory movement of Ermes is completely and utterly different. He utilizes the back pressure and the top roll offensive to get the stop and then transitions to the press from there. Jerry, not the case. Jerry's going all gears forward, and that changes things dramatically. That either is the charge of the Light Brigade, and he runs straight into Levan and ends up getting flash pinned. Alternatively, he drops that wrist out of the way. Levan does pronate too hard, sees the back of his hand, gets stopped, and it's on. One thing you can say for Jerry, he's got unbelievable endurance. Unbelievable endurance.
You know, I got a question. Can I ask you guys a question real quick?
Sure.
So you guys are 3 smart individuals, and I value your guys' opinion in this technical question. I could not wrap my head around why Ermes was letting Levan push so far past into him and getting so deep in Levan's palm. Ermes being such an experienced top roller and being in there, I could not, with especially later rounds, with how Levan was containing him with his hand, why he was not putting up a bigger fight to try to get more in Levan's hand, seeing how Levan was still getting that depth and going over the top of Ermes. Why was Ermes not being more low-handy and really trying to drive up? He was so deep. All Levan was doing is pushing his pinky towards Ermes' chin as much as he could. And why was Ermes so okay with it? I could, and I know he knows it. I know he's a smart guy. He knows what's going on. Why was he not changing it? I couldn't figure it out. What do you guys think?
I have to go back and really look at it. I was too wrapped up in the enjoyment of the moment to have looked at the real fine details so far.
I noticed it too, Derek. The only thing I could think is that, later rounds, Ermes was already knowing that his hand was going back, and he wanted to maybe anchor down and get a hold of Levan's wrist for the press. Right. That's the only thing I could think of.
But then that leads to my second question. Then why wasn't he leading with the press in the later rounds? If that's what his setup was for, why was he still? He wanted to go through all that craziness to get there. Still, why wasn't he going shoulder forward?
I wonder. I mean, I like Ermes' style though is so built for back pressure. He's so strong through this hammer curl position. Maybe that's just a comfort zone thing. I was thinking, like in the earlier rounds, I was thinking he should be more backed out then. He was fairly deep in the early rounds too. I was figuring he needed to control up high and be out as far on Levan's fingers. I don't know. I'd love to hear Ermes like play-by-play of what was going through his mind the whole time. That's what we need.
Right.
We're about to hear from Jerry Cadorette because he's just coming on. That was him calling me there. So Ricky, he was having some trouble getting on. Ricky Walker with a super chat. Thanks, mate. Keep it up from Ricky. Thank you very much. Much appreciate that, brother. Thank you for your super chat. Just a second.
I gotta go, guys. I'll jump off here so Jerry can get in. But take it easy, boys.
John, you're the king. Thanks, mate. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm just going to send this link back over to Jerry. He's having some issues dialing in. So I'm just going to send him the link one more time and then knock over these other super chats. Emperor Engen and Darth Ray. I would like to see Jerry versus Levan. Well, we're going to question him on it in a moment, mate. And I'm pretty sure as Jerry starts to enter the call that he will be very keen to get that match underway as soon as he can, particularly after what he saw last night. Josh knows a name. Who else do you think can beat Ermes and in which lane? Paul, you want to take that one on, mate? Who else can beat Ermes? Yeah.
I think Devin and Ermes is a real good match. And I think Jerry and Ermes is going to be really good. I also think, like, if we get a healthy Zauer, I think stylistically that could be a problem for Ermes because he could potentially meet him head on in his area of strength.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting.
Up and back pressure style.
I still think Alex Cadorette has a horrible stylistic matchup for Ermes. I think he is a nightmare for Ermes' style.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, the funny thing is with this, I think you both make good points, and I do think Jerry will have a lot to say about that in just a moment as well. But I also think Jerry Cadorette in the motherfucking house. Ladies and gentlemen, you wanted Jerry? There he is on his Scott bench.
Yeah,
right.
I love it. I love the shot of the preacher bench. Just we're gonna shoot this on the preacher bench.
See, I'll leave it just right there for you, Paul.
I love it. Thank you.
The Massachusetts massive in the mother fluffing house. Digging it with a super chat spot. After yesterday's event, I see arm wrestlers practicing a technique to stay close while fighting to their opponent. So close that they rob all oxygen while fighting. Well, it's funny, isn't it? When you get lads that big and you get into battles like that, it's relatively unusual to see them be able to go that hard for that long. However, there are guys that can. One of them's on the call, and we're going to pick up with him in just a minute. Andrei Alexiev, thanks, mate. He's put Jerry is pulling Ermes at the next East versus West, the one Devon and Ganari are pulling at. So that's confirmed, is it, Jerry? You're pulling Ermes at East versus West in May.
Yeah, I'll be beating Ermes in May. Yeah.
Hey, I'll get to commentate. Me and Neil will be up there.
Yes, Derek Smith. And Paul Lynn's there as well. And he's pulling Zolef. Azimurat Zolef is pulling.
Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ, Paul.
Another huge frigate. They gave him all the easy matches.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Right?
You shouldn't have won those first matches, bud.
Yeah, he couldn't find one harder. Well, let's just throw this one at him. Let's have a look. Emperor Engen and Darth Ray. Hey, Neil, how happy were you to see Ryan lose? You know what, mate? Not necessarily ever happy to see anyone lose, to be honest. It's just arm wrestling. Myself and Ryan have had a few differences, but we're big enough and ugly enough to handle it. I wish Ryan and his family all the best, and I don't hold any grudges with him. It was nice to see Mata Iwarangi Hetamoris get a win. He's a lovely lad, and yeah, good on him. Big man, Ryan came up short this time, but it'll not be the last time he loses, and it'll not be the last time he wins. So I'll catch that at some point. But yeah, I think we maybe could. Oh no, Big Grove Goats. Does there need to be a stricter rule on returning to the table? I talked to Paul in private about how to grow the sport. This would be like if MMA just let guys stay in the corner for 8 minutes. Jerry, how longer rest do you need, mate, when you've pulled one of those career-ending death wars in the super heavyweights?
Well, I mean, the thing you got to remember is you're both in the same match, right? So if it's difficult, it was difficult for both of you. So I think that's one of the things that can be a difference maker is how quick you can recover, right? And I think you got to give each guy at least 1 minute, but I would say no more than 2.
Mm-hmm. And mate, what did you think of what you saw last night? I mean,
I was drooling.
We chatted about it a little bit, mate. Stylistically, you must have been thinking, oh, this is amazing. My stock is rising like the tide with this thing. Because as soon as we saw Ermes hit the press and was getting a degree of success, your confidence must have been going up and up.
My phone was blowing up and my confidence was going up too.
Yeah. So the last time I know you spoke to Levan, I think was here on the fix, or it may have been in the presence of greatness. And I remember you were betting him cars.
Yep.
You were literally saying, I will pull you for a car. You know,
I told him he could have whatever one he wanted, and I take whatever he's got. And I think at the time he had like a H3 or something. I don't know how he fits his big ass in an H3, but
I mean, that was showing that you had a great deal of confidence then. Has that confidence increased from what you saw?
after I saw yesterday, oh my goodness, I was super excited, right? Because it's what I said before. I says if he gets in a long match, he's got to run out of endurance quick because he's so heavy. To carry 400 pounds, me carrying 320 is a lot. Him carrying 400, that's a lot of weight. So you get him in a long-winded match like that, and you see right there what happens. The question is, get in that long match.
Were you surprised to see Ermes go for that position? Did you
Yes.
know what was coming? Was it what you expected, or was that a complete surprise for you?
Well, I think he got put into that position, right? Because he wasn't trying to go for it. It wasn't like he gave it up. When his wrist got cracked back from, Levan hitting him, it put him in that type of position. And that's only natural. If you lost the wrist, go for the press.
Mm-hmm.
And, but to see it be as successful as it was with Ermes, and he didn't even have his shoulder behind it, and he was successful. Imagine me if I got my shoulder behind it and was in on that press. It would have been a completely different story.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? For a number of years, people have, certainly since the time we were doing the original Fix shows, back with myself, Ray, Ryan, Paul, now and again, it would come up in conversation. Is there anybody out there that can do it? Right back from the top 8 times? And you were always that guy that was the X Factor weirdo.
Yep.
That just because of the way that you pull and the fact that it's so unique, maybe you could do something, Now, I want to go right. Obviously, your confidence is never lacking, Jerry, and rightly so, mate. You've been in with everyone, and you've proved it many times. Let's go to Paul and Derek. Where would you, if you were picking that match now, if Jerry and Levan's announced next week and they're going to pull, and both guys are coming in fresh, prepped, ready, full camp behind them, what do you give it in terms of who's the favorite and by what percentage?
I mean, I think the perspective when we talked about this years ago, because I remember it coming up, and I remember like everybody being like, look, we have to see Levan against Jerry. We have not seen this style clash, and at that time it was kind of like, Levan is the clear favorite against anyone, and this is like a last ditch hope, Now after seeing this match, I still like, I would think the Vegas odds makers are still making Levan the favorite, but the chink in the armor has been shown. If there is a stop at any time and 3 rounds to do it, or 6 rounds to do it, I don't see, after seeing what I saw yesterday, I don't see Jerry not winning in a stop. The big thing is, can there be a stop with the style? If there's a stop early on, we see the changing of the guard.
Wow. Derek Smith.
I mean, I pretty much agree with what Paul said. I mean, we were talking about if he can get that stop. I mean, Ermes got that ugly stop, not his favorite way, and I think that's what opened that door potentially for the press. Mm-hmm. Jerry, in my brain, I'm trying to walk through the match in my head, like what I kind of see it happening. I mean, I would see Levan with an early hit, Jerry, since going forward, maybe getting there, and then what happens right there? Is it opened up? How long would it take to get the stop before he can really start incorporating that shoulder, and then how many fouls would happen before that happens and stuff like that? So I don't know, man. It's just the first stop. But I agree. Once that stop happens, if it becomes a dogfight, I mean, Jerry's in it. He's in it. So it's just that first stop is going to be the thing. And I don't even know how to play.
You know what will absolutely send people fucking loops? if when Jerry and Ermes pull, if Jerry cracks Ermes. If Jerry cracks Ermes, whoa, everything goes upside down again.
Oh.
You know.
Yo, hold on. I just got to get my phone. I got to look up the word if.
Nice, lovely darts. Joe Mama's just come in with a super chat here. He's put 100% believe in Paul beating Zolaev. Paul is number 1.
I'll do my best.
Big love for him there. We got the White Wolf in the mother fluffing house with a super chat. He's put, what's up, Jerry? I hear Levan got married. He should be weaker now. Can you catch his hit? Your style seems suited for him, and you called it.
Jerry, can you tell me how you see it going? Like in like a technical like walkthrough, like how you see the match going, like first round. Like where would you see how do you think you could stop him? Where would you stop him, or how do you think it would work?
You asking me?
Yeah. How do you see it?
I have visualized this match probably about 1,000 times, right, if not more. And the only way I come out victorious is little room for error. I got to get the hit before him. He's not a fast hitter, but he catches people and then he's explosive. So I got to be able to absorb his explosive hit with my shoulder and my wrist and my arm without allowing him to pin me, which I think I can do, right, if I can get my shoulder behind it. And once I absorb that and then I can push back, I think I'm going to apply enough pressure that he's going to run out of gas before me. I've got a pretty big gas tank, and I've been in that position, and I practice that position, and I put myself in, I put a lot of weight on the cable pulley machine, just holding it there. So I think, I held up Georgie, and Georgie was close to the same weight. Georgie was 375, and he was applying about as much pressure as you could apply, with weight on top of my hand in that position. So I was not strong when I went against Georgie. So I know I have to be super strong to go against Levan. But after seeing that match last night, I just have a no quit mentality. And I think that I have a bigger heart and more passion to win than he does. Because I would never, even though I understand he was gassed, but I still would have got up there for the last 2.
Yeah, that's. He's taken a massive amount of grief through that, hasn't he? So in that same situation, if you were 4 up, you would have definitely pulled the last 2, even if you were feeling rough.
Yeah, I would have pulled it because too many people pay to watch that match, right? And listen, it doesn't mean he should lose because he didn't do them, but he should have just went up there and at least given it what he's got. I understand if you're exhausted, but how many times do we get up there and we go through the motions anyway? The whole bit of a 6-round match is what would happen, right? Are you strong enough to go all 6 rounds, right? You could go up 5-0, you still go the 6th round. You go up 4-0, you still go the 5th and 6th round.
Yeah.
I get it. He was exhausted, but he still should have went up and then just tried. And then even if he got beat, he got beat. He did it just to save face to say he didn't get pinned.
Yeah, we did mention that earlier on. That might be the angle. We'll never know. We're not in his head, but yeah, I think it's a pretty safe bet to assume that he's got that always. Well, I didn't get physically pinned thing. Fair enough. I think number of people, if they felt that bad and they felt like they were going to lose because they were physically compromised in any way, or they felt they had a genuine health risk, may have taken that route. Each man to their own. At that time, it's easy to say we'd do it differently when we weren't feeling like he was feeling. We won't know that, but I do think he's always got that fallback that he's never been physically pinned, and yeah, we'll see how that works out. But a fantastic match either way. We've had a super chat from Josh, no surname. Thanks, mate. Much appreciated. He's put, I disagree with what Derek is saying. Ermes stopped Levan 4 times and also stopped him center table round 3. Much more impressive than Devin getting slightly compromised of wrist with a king's move once. I thought I'd read that.
Yeah, you read that one already.
I thought I read that earlier on, but for some reason that has literally just flashed up again. It must have. I don't know what's gone on with that one, but it's come up again. So got double the read there. So what about that? We do have another super chat from him as well, I believe. Just a second. And the other thing I wanted to say here, Jerry, while we've got you on, it's fair to say, mate, you've been getting yourself into a lot of potential big matches, as you usually do, to be fair. One of them was Devin Larratt. So after what you saw last night, who's the bigger match in your mind? Is it Devon or is it Levan? Who would you want to pull first of those two guys right now?
Well, I mean, anyone that looks at it like an org chart, right? The ranking system, I want to go after Levan, right? And obviously, Devon will be in the cards, and I'll go against Devon. But my path was I wanted to go against Ermes and then Levan to see if I can claim the top spot. And I 100% want to go against Levan, knowing that my style is going to be his kryptonite.
So he's just bumped Devon down the queue.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Well, the road's already been pretty much set. I mean, Devon's trying to jump on the road, but the road was set when I got hurt and I was supposed to go against, and I was supposed to be able to. The winner took on Levan.
Yeah.
Ermes jumped up and he got to pick up that match by beating Dave, and then he went to Levan. So now I'm got Ermes in 10 weeks, and after I beat him, I think that I don't know if Levan would even want the match now, because I'm sure he's going to be nervous. He's going to want to go back into the cave, hide and train and get bigger, stronger, whatever.
Oh, you're not bigger. Holy shit.
Yeah, bigger in that sense, but I mean in better shape.
Yeah. So,
man,
Josh No Surname's come back in with another super chat. He's put, Georgie almost beat Jerry. So imagine what Ermes or Levan would do. Levan? He went a bit French then. Levan would do. Also, Neil, can you read my previous super chat? You missed it. Did I, mate? Shit. Apologies. I did not. No, I'll have to look back for it, brother, in a minute. If I can't find it, just PM me that, mate, and I will definitely read it out. Also, Jake Arthur with a super chat. Devon did the 4 rounds with a busted bicep. Yeah, he did. But it did get busted by Levan. It's interesting. Devon has a very interesting perspective on that. A very interesting perspective. But I say it every week. There's no givens in this thing. There is no givens. So many times, combat sports generally, arm wrestling throws you a curved ball. You think you got it all worked out. You think you know what's going to happen. You think this is the way it's going to go. I mean, did anybody see Ermes coming out with that move, and that's where his success would be last night? Did anybody see? I did not see that. Did anybody see that?
No.
I had Levan dominating his hand to a pin in my brain each round. I didn't think Ermes would do it. I didn't think he'd go there.
Yeah, I thought Ermes might get a pin. I actually spoke to Devon and I spoke to Engin in the day, and they said, how do you see it? And I said, Ermes is dangerous. He may get something. I do believe that Levan's a favorite. I'll probably go 5-1 Levan. I think, but first round, I believe that Ermes could get something. There was just, I think speed's a weapon, and Ermes pulls very smart, and I thought he might have something there. But after the sort of second round, third round, I thought, well, certainly second round, I thought, way too much, not going to happen. And suddenly, 15 minutes later, we're in a dogfight, and Ermes is getting there with a half-ass press that he's not even fully connecting to. And you think, what the, this is ridiculous. Where'd that come from? You just did not see that happening, or certainly I didn't see that happen. If anybody did, good on you. But that was the last thing that I saw as his route against that man.
Can I just take a second to appreciate the scenario we're in? The question that was just asked to Jerry about who he'd rather pull, Devin or Levan. The fact that we're in a scenario now with no contracts, with open travel, where that's a real question, and that's just on the table. Like, who do you want to arm wrestle? The guy from Italy, Georgia, North America, Canada, and we're not just confined here. These contracts only pulling the same guy. Like, man, that's such an awesome time. That's such an awesome time that's a real question that can really be handled. Like, that's great. I'm so happy with that.
Yeah. And it's good that we see in a lot of the very best guys in the world facing each other pretty frequently in various formats, in various promotions, different looks. Like you say, it's awesome, and there's other growth that can come yet. We're not done. It's really gathering momentum. Fantastic time for the sport. Carl Granath with the super chat. He's put, Devon would destroy you, Jerry.
Sure, I'd be scared.
You never know. We're we're not going to be on here for so much longer, guys. We're going to let these guys get on with their Sunday. But yeah, I thought Dev might get on here. He told us he was coming on. Something must have come up, and but I'm sure he may drop in. You never know. But that match is coming. I'm sure of it. I mean, is it a match you'd like to hit at the end of this year? You've got aspirations for Ermes and Levan. Where do you see the Devon match?
That match will happen this year. That match will happen in 2023 this year.
In Arm Wars, Jerry.
Listen, we're going to work it out.
In Arm Wars, son. Let's fucking go.
Let's go.
I love Neil Pickup.
There you go, mate. Hopefully not in a biblical sense, son. Although, you know, with the right lighting, Jerry, I could go for you.
Jerry, do you train cardio at all?
Hey, mate. Listen, I just think, genuinely, the story there is awesome. I think the opportunity to build that up and for you guys to put more on camera than just a match itself, a little bit of the lead up and the history that you've had, I think it would be incredible. I really do. It's a match that I'd really like to put together, and we've already talked about it. And yeah, that will be great. I think Devon's on board with that as well. So really, really good. What an exciting year ahead in 2023. So guys, we're going to jump off here quick, but before we do, there's one match we haven't covered in detail, and I want to pick my words carefully here, right? Because one thing I definitely do not want to do is to throw any shade at all or cast any kind of negative vibe across John Brzenk, because the guy is the best arm wrestler of all time. He's one of my personal sporting heroes and also one of my closest friends in the sport. But what I would say is I don't think that many people did believe, and probably including John, that John had a great shot in that match. I really don't. I don't think, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, you know, if anybody came in there and thought John was going to win it, you know, raise your hand. Where did everybody see that? Because I think most people felt like he was a significant underdog, you know. So taking that out of the equation, what did you make of what you saw from Denis Cyplenkov last night, guys? How impressed were you or were you not with what you saw there?
I think.
I mean, go ahead,
Denis,
Eric.
oh, good. I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I think Denis looks strong. He doesn't look like he was, you know, back in the day. But I think, you know, John is getting older, right? So the John Brzenk that is going now, it's not fair that people say I beat John Brzenk. They beat the older version of John Brzenk, and it's not they beat John Brzenk when he was in his 40s, right? And so that's unfair. And I mean, the age factor is definitely what the difference was between John and Denis.
Do you think last night that John came into that thinking he was going to win? Do you think he came in there, and I don't mean defeatist, but do you think he came in there sort of because I saw some interviews where he said, look, if I make him go into the Kings, I'll sort of take that as a personal win, you know? Do you think, and he seemed to be extremely relaxed, not firing very hard. Do you think there was a degree of he sort of knew what was coming last night?
I think he felt like he knew he was the underdog and that it was going to be a huge uphill battle for him. And I think it was more prestigious that it was him that Denis wanted as initial comeback match.
Yeah, which is understandable. And to some extent, one of the things I've always loved and always will about John is his absolute willingness to throw himself in there, despite the fact that he's got the biggest reputation of anybody in the game. And in some respects, a lesser man. You could think he's got more to lose than anybody. And he really doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He's granite. You know, he couldn't care less. He'll go in there, he'll throw it all on the line, and he has done so many times. How can you not love that? I mean,
that's the value of not caring as much.
Yeah.
John being, especially at this point in his career, like I mean, has the guy turned a match down? I haven't heard him turn any of them down. He just
I don't think he has when he's fit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I mean, I tell you, I do think that, you know, just trying to read his energy from videos and then also being in the room with him at his previous event, like I think if John was in good form against Irakli and wins that match, as I think, you know, he could probably, I think that his energy coming into Dennis is probably a little bit different too.
Yeah.
But then, like, even in the lead up, I was concerned more about, like, all right, what were the health issues that John was facing? And are they going to carry over this? But then you compound it with the loss that he just had too. So, and I do think that, man, Dennis looked super impressive. Like, super impressive.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
Hey, Neil, someone wants to say hi to you real quick.
hey, all right, mate.
I'm sorry. I'm
How
late.
you doing?
How you doing, guys?
I'm super busy.
Hopefully seeing him soon. Hopefully seeing you soon, mate. And Devin Larratt joining the chat, ladies and gents.
So what? I imagine you guys are pretty far into the show now, yeah?
Yes, mate. Yeah, we are. Thanks for dropping in, dude. We got an interesting one here actually, which is quite. So Josh, no surnames, come in with a super chat, and hopefully this is the one I missed, mate. I do apologize for that. He's put Derek. Issa said him and Coach Ray told Ermes to grip deeper and try something new. Unfortunately, it backfired and got him flash pinned.
It's a weird time to try something new.
All right.
You know, so I can't even comment on that, but that's apparently what's been said. Cold Stone's come in with a super chat. Another one for you, Derek. He's put, Derek has said that he thinks Cadorette beats Ermes right now because of styles. What do you guys think? I definitely think Ermes kills him right now.
They pulled when I was pulling Gennady. They pulled the day before on the table, and Ermes was winning everyone.
They were pulling when? When were they pulling?
The day before I pulled Gennady, they were both there as spectators. So the day before they were pulling. Now, obviously, it was just for fun, but it was still they were going at it. And I don't like to lose for fun. I don't like to lose for real. But Ermes in each match.
It's not surprising.
So Grilio YT with a super chat. He's put Ermes flop press and tricep is better than Jerry's. What the fuck?
I don't think so.
You see, hey? Tell you what, Carolyn Loons with a super chat. 10 weeks to paradise. May East versus West. Team West is so mega. Paul, how exciting is this event? And Neil and Derek commentating surely make it incredible. Well, what we will say is another big sequence of matches are going to be understood there. And we're going to get back to what we saw last night now that Dev's come on, because a lot to be talked about from the match we just got into. But if we look at the next East versus West and cast our minds forward to May, you got Gennady Quikvinya, Dev. Huge match. Again, two guys who are really on the up at the moment. And there's a lot of hype about. You got Jerry and Ermes. This is on the same card. So again, we get to see.
Is that confirmed, Jerry?
What, me and Ermes?
Yeah.
Yeah, they set it up.
So huge match in prospect there. You know, bearing in mind Ermes has come through this fit, well and healthy. You know, if he's got any damage, then that may change, but certainly haven't heard anything. So I don't know. Here we go. Doug, check this. This is the kind of shit super chat we get on this show. All right, here it is. Doug Early. Here we go. Paul, Devon, Jerry, and Derek. Do you think Neil is straight, or does he back for the other team?
He's a switch hitter.
Why are you asking?
Fluid.
Why are you asking?
Nice, brutal, son. Doug Early. What the? Hey? Harsh, that, isn't it? I do one ropey show with bloody RVJ. Yeah. And the next thing you know, my masculinity is being called in question. I love it. That's how we roll.
You got your pants on, Neil?
Yeah, I have, mate, actually. I haven't got the old floppy dog out tonight. It's a bit cold. You know, Only on a warm night, mate. I'd go that route. So on a serious note, though, we were talking about Denis Siplenkov. Now I know that you've got a dinner date with this guy later in the year, Dev. That's a guy you're slated to run into. You're the guy he called out last night. Is there an official timescale on that, or is it loose?
I think it's probably pretty loose. I mean, I said I would step in for John, like when I knew that match was going on. I said I would have pulled him then. I got Gennady, so I heard that he wants some time. I heard, like, unofficially behind the scenes we've been talking. I think they've said like October time frame or like fall. So I mean, whatever. I mean, I've been criticized for saying things about Denis, but I do believe, like, I think I put him right next to Ermes. I do.
You think so? If you think if that match happened now, Ermes and Denis, how would you see that going?
It's close. I think it is. I'll tell you, what I saw is not what everybody else might have saw. Like, what I saw last night is a guy who didn't fight in the setup whatsoever, gave John everything he wanted. I swear the one setup, John was like covering his thumb knuckle. Denis didn't care. Denis never even, his fucking brow never even fucking crumpled up. And he's such a nice guy. He's such a friendly dude. Like, he did everything he could to, like, make the match seem somewhat close. But in my mind, that match was, you hate to talk bad about any athlete at that level, but Denis Siplenkov they're not on the same level. They're not. Denis and John are not on the same level. And Denis is in very, very thin air. All you got to do is touch his hand. I mean, you'll run into him at an event. You'll know.
Oh, yeah, mate. I know exactly what you're talking about.
He's not like the rest of us. He's like 3 times as thick as most people. And his arm wrestling style now is better.
Hence the name. Thick Shake.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he arm wrestles way better than he used to. Like, people talk about the big Denis. Yeah, big Denis, yeah. But the thing is, he pulls better now. He does. And all the tendons and ligaments are still there. And now he's doing pumpkin training. So he's just training his right hand. So that's a bad dude. That's a super, super bad dude. Yeah.
So you would put him right now, the guy that pulled John, you would put him right there with Ermes. You'd think he's that level.
Yeah.
A favorite against Ermes, or just 50-50? Who would you put your money on?
Here's what I'm going to tell you that I know about Denis from watching the guy and studying the guy. Denis is so smart. He's so calculating. Denis is patient. Denis does not plan on losing. Like, Denis will take his time. He will do it right. If Denis calls for the match at a certain time, in his mind, he will be ready and he will win. So the way I see it, I'm going to do everything I can to not let that happen. I expect it's going to be a very close match. That's what I expect. But I expect after me, there's one more step before Levan, and I would see that being in the spring or the early summer, and it would be Ermes or, whoever at that point in time is believed to be the number 2. And safe to say it's Ermes. Yeah.
So you believe that before he faces you in October, we'll see Denis back in the mix, and he'll be pulling another big name, Ermes or somebody like that?
No. I think I'm the next up.
You think you're next up for him, but you'll pull one more? Just Gennady and one more, yeah?
No, I'll pull Gennady, and then I imagine if there's an opportunity to sign Denis, I'll probably sign Denis. Yeah. And depending on how the Gennady match goes. Like, look,
so I'm going to put you on the spot, right?
Yeah.
In the form you are in now, which is high, do you think you could deal with Denis, the man you saw last night?
I think it's a good match. I think it's a very good match. And that's the thing. I don't think we saw the cards yesterday. To me, like, I saw a guy who just kind of casually took his grip, didn't fight in the set, didn't get nasty, like, was in control probably about half a second after they said go round one, and there was no window for anything to be talked about after that. That's what I saw.
Yeah, very,
Guys,
very.
I got to get out of here before we get into. I know you're going to talk to Devin for a while. I got to go.
Derek, thanks for dropping in, mate. Great to see you. Catch you soon.
You guys are all legends. It's been my honor. I'll see you guys around there.
Thank you, mate.
Later, Derek.
Yeah, I think it's a good match. I think that I believe that Dennis is super, super bad, dude. Like super bad. Especially right now with his right, the way he's pulling, the way he's training. It's a short list. It's a very, very short list.
Yeah.
And people think it's not just King's move either. A lot of people, when they see people King's moving and practicing in events all the time, they think that's all they do. Obviously, Dennis can do many, many more things.
Yeah.
It's just King's move is such a nice. The open top roll feels so gentle on your joints and everything. By the time you're 40, a lot of senior guys start to pull in that style because it's just it's very safe. But when it's all on the line, don't think that guy can't throw his shoulder forward, and you got to deal with that. He's got a lot of weapons. I've been saying it. I believe he's the number one threat against Levan. And look at Ermes killed it. He killed it.
Yeah.
That was one of the most heroic and beautiful performances that I've seen in arm wrestling. He still got killed. He did.
Yeah, mate. I think people have been saying that some bad stuff about Levan. I think both men were mega last night. Both men.
Levan is still the man. And I'll tell you, if they had a rematch in 6 months or 9 months, guess what? I personally would still put my money on Levan and probably do the same thing to go 4 straight again.
Mm-hmm.
I would. I think what I saw is round 1 was legit. Round 2 was pretty legit. And then after that, Levan started to try and show how dominant he was, and he did it a bit early, and he got in a little bit of trouble. Tried to do things.
Do you think he'd have got pinned, mate, in that round 5 match? Do you think it would have gone to the pad?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, yeah. He was in trouble, man. That shoulder was not coming off. That shoulder was not coming off, and he couldn't. Him running off the back end like that, that's because he had nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's hard to adjust from that position. I've had so many messages saying, oh, you really think he would have got pinned there? I really do. I really do.
Oh, yeah, that thing was going down. Yeah, that's what I think.
Going straight from that, and I will knock over the super chats in a minute, guys, those who've sent them. Just going straight from that, though, for a minute, Dev. We were talking about it a moment ago, off what you saw last night, stylistically.
Yeah.
Do you think that your opinion of a Jerry versus Levan match has changed?
It sure gets a whole lot more interesting, doesn't it? Gets a whole lot more interesting. Now, I'll say that you and Ermes very different. And I think that one of the reasons why he got into the match is because he has so much of this that, he's able to stop the match in potentially a different way. Look at, but seems to be a bit of a nice little hiding spot there for sure. So, and I mean, if you go back in Levan's history, I mean, you see the Gennady, back, like he got some wins on him like that. So this is a historic way that people have won against him. It is. So yeah, for sure. It definitely, look at last night, definitely does good things for Jerry's chances, which are still low. I'm sorry. Yeah. They're still low, but better, definitely better.
Well, here's a question, right? Looking at it another way. Are we misreading this? Is it that the flop wrist is an angle, or was the real enemy of Levan fatigue? When Jerry first came on tonight, he said, look, 400 pounds, you get into a difficult match, a drawn out match, you're just too big and you're going to gas and you're going to blow up and struggle. Do you think anyone will be able to get him late on if they can hold integrity in any kind of position?
Yeah, for sure. It's a little bit of both. But, look to me, there's like 3 ways to arm wrestle, and then there's in between. Yep. Okay. There's the far outside, which is the whole runaway all the way to the Kings. Okay. You got the deep inside, which is the flop. And both of these are tricky moves to counter and understand. And then both these moves, they rise up into the high hook or high top, right? So you got the very center of arm wrestling, which is the high hook, high top, wherever you want to call it in between there. That's where your full control is. And then you're going to run away down one of the sides. And really, fundamental arm wrestling is the middle. That's the high top. It's the high post. And then the other ones are like tricks. They're like, they're not the strong guy moves. They're the trick moves. And if the guy doesn't know that, if he doesn't know the count, he can get in a lot of trouble. Like if it's the first time you pull a King's mover, you're probably going to be in trouble. If it's the first time you pull a proficient flopper, you're probably going to be in trouble. If you make your opening wrong against either one of these, you're really in trouble. If you do the wrong opening against a flopper, you can be a lot stronger and you can be screwed. So,
yeah,
I mean, you got to figure it out. I don't know.
It is the judo throw, isn't it? If you move wrong on a really proficient flop presser, very hard. But and the commitment level is such, you're pretty screwed. You get that wrong, you're in serious trouble. It puts you in a bad spot. And even from a guy, you could say, everybody grading Ermes as a proficient flop presser. Is he? I don't know. If you courted him and said, are you really comfortable there? He may say, no, that was it. Red line. He went out on my shield. It was courageous. But is he Jerry when he gets there?
I don't think he opened with the flop though, did he? He kind of fell into it. Right.
All back. This is what we're going to. Jerry came on a moment ago and said, he didn't go there. He was put there. That was your first comment, wasn't it, Jerry? That's where you went immediately.
Yeah.
Just so happened that that's a nice spot. Maybe.
And is there more of a risk for you, Jerry, because you're not going to be utilizing the back pressure off the start, do you think? Does that create more of a problem for you or not?
Well, I think if he's still going to go outside and he's still going to allow me to get into my lane, then, as I told you before, I just have to be strong enough to be able to stop him from pulling through me.
Yeah. Yeah, super interesting series of matches coming up, guys. Please don't send any more super chats. We're going to jump off here really quick, guys. I just want to knock over these before we do. Devon's classy finger, just for support and to say I got one of the limited John Zinc autogram cards, mate. Good for you, mega. Devon's classy finger. Thanks for your super chat, mate. We got Jacob Yukaro, Devon and Jerry. Can you guys have a match before East versus West 7? Maybe not.
You don't want any of this, Jerry. You don't want any of this.
Looks like a toothpick. No, I'll go against Devin the week after he goes against Dennis.
Yeah, that very next week. We got Joe Mama. Neil, did you experience Maiden's helicopter? I have no idea what that even is, mate, and I don't even want to think about it. That's a very, very vile dude right there. He shit on the front seat of my car. That's the kind of level that guy's at. Chess goals with a super chat. Going back to Doug Ehrlich's comment, is Neil's favorite chess piece the king or the queen? Devon, push the 1600. You can do it.
1600,
mate. Weird super chat, but we'll take it. Dan Plexman, Jerry versus Levan and Devon versus Ermes, same day. Then 3 months later, winner versus winner and loser versus loser, same day. Great panel today. You guys are great. Cheers, Dan. Thanks, brother. Let's have a look. I think this may be our last one. Derek, they advise deep grip after round 3 between rounds. Yeah, I think I know where you're coming from with that, mate. We had a message or a PM a minute ago that came up on one of the live feeds. So who knows? But one thing I can say is I'm pretty sure those guys will meet again. But we got big matches to come before that. I want to say a massive thanks to my guests tonight for everybody that tuned in, came on the show. Thank you very much for Dev, for Jerry. 2 of the guys that are very much back in the conversation about that upper echelon super heavyweight ranking. We're going to see these guys go to work in the not too distant future. Both men will feature East versus West, May the 6th, I believe, over in Istanbul. We got Jerry Cadorette facing Ermes Gasparini, who we saw so impressively last night. We got Devin Larratt facing Gennady Quickvinia.
Hey, sorry I'm
these
so
two
late
guys to get
tonight.
ready. Hey, Dev, don't worry, mate. Don't worry about it. Thanks for dropping in. And Jerry also. Both these guys had big stuff on. Jerry's got a birthday party over there for his child. Still found the time to get on, which we really appreciate. And Devon running around like a blue-ass fly as well. Really
Devin
appreciate it.
like a rabbit.
Mate, it's
Like a
got to get
jalopy.
back in shape.
Like an old jalopy bouncing around the road.
That's
Still some miles on it. Agent of Chaos defensive flop press may be the way to beat Levan. Could well be, mate. We got some signs yesterday. We really did. I want to say for everybody who's taken the time to tune in to Fix 142, thank you very much. Everybody in the chat, thank you. If you can, give us a like. Please give us a sub. This is the Supernatural Strength channel. This has been the Fix 142. If you're not subscribed to Jerry Cadorette, please go over there, get sub to this guy. He is, and has always been, one of the best super heavyweights in the world. If you're not subscribed to No Limits, Devin Larratt, get over there and sub to this guy. An absolute force for the sport of arm wrestling. He's the best of men on the table, and he's also one of the best ambassadors for the game. Get out there and show your support for these guys, and thank you for tuning in, checking out the show. Until we see you next time here on The Fix, take it easy, peeps.
Jerry, jump Ermes and go right for Levan.
I know.
Leapfrog his ass. Later, guys.